Well, with me now is Aisha Sarwari, who's a women's rights activist, author of the book called Navigating Pakistani Feminism, Fight by Fight. Thank you so much for being here on the programme. An extraordinarily depressing story. How common are attacks like this?
Matthew, unfortunately, they're becoming even more common as time passes by. What we've seen happen in this case, happened a few weeks back in Abbottabad, where a girl was drugged and then tied to the back of a van and burnt to death because she aided a friend to go ahead and marry out of her own will. These are not isolated incidents. They're increasing, consistently. But unfortunately, what we have on the other side is that the perpetrators are not being brought to justice with the same pace. And so, we're at a point where, unfortunately, as women's rights activists and human rights activists, outrage is just not enough anymore.
And we were hearing only a little while ago from another human rights campaigner who was saying that these people seem to act with impunity, and that sounds like you reach exactly the same conclusion, that there is really no comeback in terms of the authorities.
Unfortunately, Matthew, what's happening is that the government, which is also facing a bit of a credibility crisis, is looking back at the CII, which is the Council of Islamic Ideology, to be the center point for what to do with the women question, which is very unfortunate, because I feel that that's an advisory body, and the place of legislation, we need more rights for women, not less. As unfortunately, the CII wants it to be. They're at a point where they're decreeing that violence against women is okay, lightly beating women is okay, and that is completely unacceptable to a civilized society.
Which I assume is why you reached the conclusion I read out in their headlines, which you think is that society there in Pakistan, in certain respects, in this respect, is actually going backwards.
I would say it's going backwards. The thing is that media is also catching up, and the good thing is that these stories are coming to the forefront. But it's almost like it's fueling the fire. It's making misogynists bolder, and whereas that's happening, there has to be an equal pushback by the government, by legislators, by rights activists and civil society to say this is enough. But we're not seeing that kind of movement. We're just seeing isolated cases of outrage. We're not seeing people coming to the forefront and speaking up against this kind of violence, which, by the way, like I said, is happening week by week, day by day.
And if that analysis is correct, the one that you've just outlined, that leaves women in a terrible place, doesn't it, in terms of choices? It sounds like they simply have no choice but to go along. Otherwise, this sort of punishment is meted out.
Unfortunately, that's what we've seen. We have role models who have spoken up. We have women who have spoken up, like, for example, this a young woman here who just rejected a suitor, which in any other society would be completely acceptable, but now she was burnt and thrown in a ditch. So, this just goes to say that the best women are the most invisible ones, and that is unacceptable. Our country was not founded on these kind of principles. Our founder gave us a very progressive vision. He had his sister right next to him when he was founding this country. So our women, there's no shortage of courage, but this is completely outrageous that we get treated this way.
But in effect, is it silencing women's voices there?
We're definitely being silenced consistently, and whenever, just a few days ago, this is a gender question, so a trans person succumbed to her injuries at a hospital. So gender violence across the board is increasing. Women are trying to be silenced, and this needs to end.
Well, Aisha Sarwari, thank you so much for joining us on today's programme to talk about this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew.